What is a sign of a cry for help that isn't obvious to the average person? Some people become very quiet and docile, like if they've resigned themselves to the minimum. Edit. I don't feel confident helping everyone here who finds this familiar, but I can say a few things with certainty. You matter, and there's nothing inherently wrong about you. If you behaved and thought like another person, you'd be exactly like them. There is no bad luck or curse. You need to reconcile with yourself and believe in your ability and potential. You're in a negative spiral, which is difficult to break out of for sure, but it's not impossible, I promise. Once you break out, all the social things will get much easier as well. I think it's like this: you're a lovable person, but you don't have the leisure to be yourself, and show yourself, and open up to the world. And perhaps it is dangerous to show vulnerability in such a state, because a 100% success rate is unrealistic, and some people are assholes, or have bad days, or misunderstand you, etc. So, I recommend doing it little by little. Small victories. Step by step. I know how a terrible mood can make it feel certain that nothing will ever be okay again. But it can, I promise again. I managed, and I remember telling myself if I can get out of this, anyone can. Perhaps I did it only so that I could write comments like this, helping other people. Any reason is good though, no matter how silly. And thanks for the awards and everything, but I'd rather have you give them to somebody else. Purposely avoiding sad and difficult topics. Sometimes when a person is constantly feeling like shit, the last thing they want to do is bring up more negativity when hanging out with people they enjoy being around. Oftentimes being with friends/family can be a brief escape from always feeling awful, and so bringing up negative topics can ruin this feeling of escape, and make the depression feel never-ending and suffocating. Maybe they took weeks to tell you they failed a test, or even dropped out of school. Maybe you randomly hear from someone else that their dog died. Maybe they always switch the radio station from the news to pop songs. Could be anything big or small, usually multiple things. Nah, I'm fine. Marked differences in behavior, where the person becomes way more positive and energetic than normal. We tend to think of these sorts of changes as being good, but any sudden and large enough change in behavior is something you need to keep an eye on. This is especially true if they are going from a very negative pattern of thinking/behavior into an uber positive one very quickly. Usually, those "now I feel like I can conquer the world" changes are the precursor to suicide attempts, and the like. Joking about self-harm/suicide. Lack of interest in things usually enjoyed. Giving away possessions. Suddenly being much happier/content after being sad/unhappy for a long time! This is often a sign that suicide was planned and/or prepared. Self-isolation. Anger/frustration. Lack of hygiene. Sleeps a lot/always tired. Laziness. Self-harm, yes, even if it's just for attention. These people are inflicting physical damage on themselves, like cutting, hitting, pulling hair, etc. Substance abuse. Reckless behavior, for example crossing the street without looking, driving faster than the speed limit, etc. Strange habits regarding food, loss of appetite, binge eating, refusing to eat in front of people, constantly counting cows, obsession with fitness, etc. Loss/gain of weight. Asking questions, such as "would you visit me in the hospital?" or similar questions. Apathy. There are more, but I can't think of any right now. Just know that, if your friends give you an off vibe, it's usually right, and something's up. That doesn't necessarily mean they are suicidal, but maybe something happened recently. Just be there for them. And if your friends are gym rats, make sure you watch their weight and eating habits, especially if they are men. A lot of men develop eating disorders while they go to the gym, and they go unnoticed, because ED are often viewed as something only white teen girls get, when that's not true at all. Sudden drastic improvement in mood of a depressed person, it could be a sign they have a plan to commit suicide, and feel better, because they know it's gonna end soon. Sleeping. People sleep more when they are avoiding a person/issue, when they are depressed, and when they are physically sick. In the case of someone who is high energy, and suddenly they have none, is a big heads up, too. My ex-FIL went from doing hours of yard work a day to doing none. He hit the point where he was ready to go, stopped eating right, and stopped drinking water, stopped cleaning himself. He'd had enough of life, decided it was time. Edit for clarity. He died. Second edit. Oh wow. I am completely stunned this blew up. And the awards are very unexpected and nice. Thank you, everyone. Asterisk third edit. Please, if you have depression, have compassion for yourself. If you haven't already, please seek help. The sleep problems which come with depression can become a source of frustration. I don't want that for anyone. Asterisk when they start cutting off contact. That outgoing, happy person suddenly just isn't up to it, or maybe some other time, then something is wrong. Also, if they stopped caring about their physical appearance. It may seem a bit obvious, but when someone says that they don't see themselves living past a certain age, or acting surprised that they made it to a certain milestone in their lives. When someone is constantly busy so they don't give themselves time to think. Also, when someone gives up on a lot of basic things like cleaning or doing washing up because they can't think about anything except what's bothering them. Second-hand suicide, when they joke about being killed in an accident. This is usually because they feel there are people in life who need them and they don't want to commit suicide themselves. A reduction in food consumption. I've found when I've fallen down the hole and I just stop caring anymore, I don't eat anywhere near as much as I normally do. Instead of having the standard 3-4 meal things a day, I'll be lucky to convince myself to have 2, and I simply don't care anymore. Sleeping all day and having no interest. No one cares, they just walk by or don't understand. Makes you feel very alone. I don't want someone to fix me, but I do want someone to show they care. Also, drinking a lot when you have never been a drinker. Anhedonia. Losing interest in things a person usually found to be a source of enjoyment. Depression is a very insidious illness, and a very isolating one. Sometimes it can be hard to spot, because people are very conditioned to hide it. Most common red flags. Anhedonia. Excessive sleeping, or insomnia. Irritability. Becoming tearful more easily than normal for the person. Periods of mania, and extremely high mood. Short attention span. Phrases like I just don't care anymore, or nothing matters anymore. And #X200B. The biggest thing to watch for is if the person suddenly becomes incredibly sunny and chilled out. This is easy to mistake for them bouncing back, but keep an eye on them even closer if this happens out of the blue. 9 times out of 10, it's because they are about to attempt suicide. They are likely sunny and positive because they've decided when to call it quits and end the pain they are feeling for themselves because they've run out of hope. This is when they need you most. When someone has obviously been crying or tears up without apparent provocation, even in a very public setting, it can be a sign that they are in too much pain even to try masking it. I've also heard of severely depressed people who abruptly snap out of it and go perky, and that asterisk can be asterisk indicative of a person who was agonizing over whether to end things, who has now decided to do so. Making that decision, sadly, gives them peace and relief. Daydreaming too much, or way harsher on themselves, giving a lot of personal possessions away without wanting anything in return. The person stops caring about their appearance and neglects their hygiene and grooming, because in their mind they are thinking that it doesn't matter, since no one likes them anyway, that they don't deserve to be clean, or that it won't make their lives better, so why bother?